Hey babe, what's for dinner?
Ooh, tonight is your favorite chicken pot pie. Happy Sunday, everyone. LuxLynneATL here with a cooking video. So, I'm not sure if you guys know, I am a woman of many interests. So, not just fashion, not just travel, not just football, not just shopping and wine. I also love food. And you may not know this, but my friends and family do. I love to cook, possibly because I love to eat, but I am also very particular and love trying out new recipes. So one of my childhood favorites has always been pot pie. My grandmother used to buy me those banquet pot pies, probably other versions back in the day, and I used to eat the hell out of them. And to this day, I still love them, but you know, probably in the midst of quarantine, I think it was before that, I was like, hey, where can I get a good pot pie that's not from the freezer section? You know, tad bit bougie. So I was like, I can do this, but I'm gonna show y'all the easy way to do it because I'm not a baker, I'm a cooker.
Okay.
So I don't know how to make a pie crust. I don't know how to make a puff pastry, but I can tell you where to go buy one. So what I figured out was, let me, combine the best of both worlds, which for me, that's where can I go get those ingredients, and then how can I make the filling my own, bring the two together and make an amazing bomb-ass pot pie. So let's watch. Okay, so one of the most important ingredients in a chicken pot pie, which is just coming out the oven, of course, we all know, is the chicken. And when I say I'm particular, I'm super particular because I don't just want anybody's chicken. I want my own because I know it's not dry. I know what I seasoned it with. So I just buy some chicken breast from Whole Foods or from Publix, wherever you get your chicken from. And I like to season it myself. That way I know that I can trust the chicken and where it came from. And also I can make sure it's moist and I can put all my seasonings in there. So my chicken has simple roasted chicken recipe. My chicken has salt, pepper, garlic powder, some paprika, some white pepper, some roasted red pepper flakes. But the secret ingredient that I like to use is garlic cloves under the skin. And I think I like my chicken breast with skin just because I think the skin in a pot pie is essential. Because who doesn't like skin, especially roasted chicken skin, in anything, because it gives it that added flavor and it also comes out crispy, so it gives you a little bit of texture because you already have vegetables in there, so the chicken is like an added bonus. I also put a lot of olive oil. Usually I put rosemary. I think I did this time. If not, probably forget. Rosemary, basil, oregano, what I like to call the chicken herbs go in there. Garlic, olive oil, and the special secret, lemon juice. Because I think roasted chicken is really good when it has that little bit of citrus flavor, and then it also adds the moisture. So I'm gonna walk you guys step by step through my famous, yes, I like to say famous because everybody in the house literally goes crazy when they hear I'm making pot pie. Literally, we just got, what? Did I just hear pot pie? Literally from upstairs, so it's legendary. I'm gonna walk you through this, and also before we do that, don't forget to hit like, and also while you're there, don't forget to subscribe. This will truly help me because I'm a new YouTuber, and so we're trying to grow these numbers, y'all. We're trying to build this engagement. So tell me if you actually have made pot pie, or what are one of your favorite comfort foods. So what I'm gonna do, not gonna do it on camera, we're gonna act like this is really Food Network. I'm going to magically pop up to the next screen and this chicken is gonna be shredded, and then we'll actually get started with the good stuff. All right, so now let's get to the nitty gritty. So we have the chicken shredded. This is just 2 breasts. I usually use a breast per pie, and I usually do 2 pies just because everything comes in 2s already, like the pie crust that I use, which is, this one's actually not my favorite, but this one is the second favorite. The favorite that I have tends to disappear sometime around Thanksgiving and just never pops up, but this is sold at Whole Foods. It's actually really good, but I am very much so in love with the other one. Hopefully it comes back, but these come in 2. So, and you know, I am in a house with men and they basically get the biggest slice of pie they can find. So one literally is gone. So I literally make the second so that they will have more left over for the day. So if you have a big family, I would say, you know, they know how to, you know, cut small slices. By all means, you can have one, and I usually use breast because I like white meat, just a preference. You go with dark if you want. You can have, you know, thighs, legs, whatever you want, but I think it's easier. So we already have the chicken shredded, and don't worry, this recipe will be included in the description bar below. But now we're about to start preparing the filling, which actually requires 2 different dishes or 2 different bowls. So we're gonna soften some butter, which it says use 4 tablespoons, and then 1 stick. I like to use the Land O'Lakes unsalted. It's the one in the black container, and it usually has 8 tablespoons in 1 stick. And because I'm doubling this recipe for 2 pies, everything I'm doing is times 2. So if you're making 1 pie, definitely just use the 4. I'll give you the, you know, the numbers to, you know, finagle it the way you want. So mine is times 2. So it says use 4, I'll be using 8. And I like to put them in the cute little ramekins here, and I just walk it over to the microwave. Now, let's actually get started with 1 portion, and this is what you use to actually thicken the filling. So it says use 4 tablespoons of softened butter and flour in a small bowl. So let's get flour, and it says you're going to need 1/4 of all-purpose flour. So it also calls for 1/4 of all-purpose flour, and it did say I wasn't a baker. I'm a cooker. We're gonna do this times 2. I'm only being precise because I'm on camera. Otherwise, I'd be like, yeah, that looks about right. So this is 1/4. And then we're gonna do 1 more. That's because I'm doing 2 pies. So times 2, y'all. And then it's asking for milk. No, this one is the one that has butter. So cornstarch is asking for 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, which I've already measured. We got 2 here. This is the cornstarch. And then 1/2 cup of milk, which means we need a whole cup since we're doing it times 2. And I just go whole milk. So we're going 1 cup with cornstarch. And since the cornstarch is basically sitting in the bottom, I like to just make sure that I actually am mixing the cornstarch since there's so much liquid in here, which none of this has to be done rocket science because it's all going in 1 bowl regardless. So funny story, since I said I was particular about my chicken, I absolutely am, and also have a phobia about dry chicken, even though technically chicken in a pot pie is gonna have the filling, but I still don't want my chicken dry. And I'm a fiend about some olive oil, and it's also good for you. But once upon a time when I was first making my pot pie for the hubby, he's such a sweet guy, was trying to be helpful, and so the olive oil and all the juices are at the bottom of the pot, and I like to pour that over the chicken after I shred it. Or, you know, sometimes, as we like to say in the South, sop it up. And y'all, I come over to the pot and it's in the trash. Like the foil at the time that I had put in there. This is a nice handy little device. I am not a chopper, but my mom gave this to me because she knows, and it's got a little cutting device in there, so you gotta be careful when you wash it, but it cuts everything perfectly. It even minces garlic. So, but the funny thing is, he threw it away, and so I was like, where's my olive oil? Where's the chicken oil? Where my chicken products at, y'all? And he was like, oh, I threw it away. And I was like, I needed that. Y'all, I was peeved. I didn't say anything for probably about the rest of the time I was cooking the pot pie, because I was literally sitting there like, so how many of y'all have, you know, helpful husbands that think that they're helping, and that one time they like, oh, I threw it away. And now every time I make it, I'm always laughing, because I'm like, remember that time you threw away my chicken grease or chicken oil? And he's always like, yeah, I'll never do that again, because he clearly saw I was mad about it. So our onions are chopped, which this is gonna be the base of your filling. Another thing that I'm quite particular about is my broth. And this, better than bouillon, is actually a equivalent of what you would say chicken broth is. And they actually serve it in, or they sell it in beef. They also have a roasted garlic base. And this stuff right here is so good. And it's basically just the broth equivalent. So what I like to do is get my water, and I like to make my own broth. It gives you so much flavor, and it's naturally the best version of a broth. It's not high in sodium. This one's reduced sodium. So I really like that it gives you that roasted chicken flavor in your own broth. So what you're gonna basically do is get this out and then just let it boil maybe for about 10 minutes. The next step is, in a large saucepan, add 2 tables of butter, which I'm doing ×4. Nice little chunk. This is not one of those, oh, I'm trying to be healthy today meals, but it's not really super horrible because it's totally full of vegetables. And you can, you know, add whatever you want. What I'm also doing, I don't know if you guys know, is I'm looking at a recipe on Pinterest, and I basically made it my own. They actually made their pie crust on this recipe, which I'll be happy to link it. I'm not doing that, but I have tweaked it and perfected it, so just go with mine. Mine will be in the description if you didn't hear it already, but if you have any questions, leave a comment. I'd be happy to help. So we're gonna let that melt, and then the next thing we're gonna do is saute the onions. So I just added 1 cup. I'm gonna turn this up a little bit. Medium high, this is a big pot. And then this is the 2nd cup. Add some garlic powder. Some basil. Some red pepper flakes. If you like a little kick. Now it says cover and let this simmer for about 10 minutes, just until the vegetables are tender. And we'll be back. So you see how the carrots are starting to change that color. Now it says add the butter and flour, which is this mixture. This is a milk and cornstarch. And you can actually feel the cornstarch at the bottom. You see that? Scrape it out because it's still in there. Usually it settles to the bottom. So you basically need to make sure you get that out because that's a crucial ingredient. Now it says add salt and pepper, which I've already done, but I'll definitely do again. And you can see it's starting to get thicker. So what I'll do now is let's add this corn and peas. This is sweet corn, which I love corn. So corn in the pot pie is one of my favorites. I'm gonna add some peas because peas and carrots just go together. Like peanut butter and jelly. And notice all this is frozen. So you can make a healthy pot pie. Come on. And you can see it's starting to thicken. So funny how it literally turns the entire filling purple. Now let's add the magical stuff, which is this nice juicy chicken. Now feel free to taste it. Make sure you have enough of your favorite seasonings in there. Get the chicken herbs, the rosemary, the thyme, the basil, the garlic powder, and we're basically done. This is your filling. Ta-da! And also, just a little tip, if you don't like purple filling, by all means, just don't get tricolored carrots. When you have regular carrots, your filling is going to be basically cream looking. It's going to be beige, and you're going to see all this color. So this one broke a little bit. Ignore that. Just make sure whenever you have it stored in your freezer that nothing gets put on top of it or it doesn't get shoved to the back, because this is very fragile. But you put the filling in. Make sure you have enough chicken in there. Get to the fun part, which is not really fun for me, but this is where I start to overanalyze stuff, because I didn't make a pie crust or a puff pastry, but you got one, and you got the puff pastry, which I actually threw the box away. Let me go get it. This is the best puff pastry you can get. This is in Whole Foods. So this is by DeFore Pastry Kitchens. It's basically like little sheets, and you can actually roll it out, stretch it out, and make it enough to cut it for 2 pot pies. So I'll show you how I do it. And just a disclaimer, I'm not a baker. I'm gonna say that again. I'm not a baker. So when you see me making these weird shapes and angles on top of this pie, I don't even care, because guess what? It's gonna taste good, but when it puffs out, it actually does look quite cute. But the first time I did this, I was like, this looks like some mess. But we're gonna let this come together. So this is your puff pastry, basically. It's a sheet of dough. Very interesting to maneuver, but this is wet, so I'm gonna dry it off some. Now we're gonna roll her out. What I like to do is actually cut it in half and do it one at a time, and then just basically stretch it out. I repeat, she is not a baker. This is straight in the middle. And this is 1 for 1. And the other one here. Puff pastry is quite tricky. I had to figure out how does this work, but just basically spread it out and make sure it has flour on it, on the rolling pin and your surface, because you want to make sure that it doesn't stick or rip. But look, if it does, it's still gonna taste just as good. So don't be too hard on yourself. I repeat, she is not a baker. So you see how it starts to like stick a little bit. So what I like to do is make sure it's width-wise perfect enough to fit over the pie shell, and then I cut the edges and basically just finagle them on it. Bring the pie on over, slap this bad boy on top, and pretend like you baked it, girl, guy. And then make magic. Figure out what you want to do with these ends. Don't throw them away, I would say, because they are delicious and they get like so puffy and crispy on your pot pie. It's like a little added bonus. So keep those, use those. I never tried putting butter in it. That's a good idea. And then make sure you egg wash it, because it's no point in doing this amazing pot pie without making sure that your family thinks that you made this all by yourself. So this right here seals it. Like, you did that, Lynn? Like, girl, your family be like, oh my gosh, you love us so much. You literally rolled out dough and you made a pie shell and the filling. They will be none the wiser. But you put that egg wash on it, so they really think they were done. You know, even if you want to go all the way, like put some powder on your nose or, you know, on your leggings and stuff, you're like, oh my gosh, this was so difficult. Y'all better be grateful, because we are super women. And don't forget, put your oven on 400, and this will bake for about 30 minutes. I like to eyeball mine and just watch and see when the puff pastry starts to really puff up. But here you go. Ready for the piece de resistance? Hey, hey, hey. Okay, so let's take this out before it gets too brown. But this is your beautiful pot pies that you look like you made this crust. So now dinner's done. So let's chop this up. Let's see what we got in the inside here. And now your family will be like, oh my gosh, you're famous pot pie. And you can just tell them, LuxLynneATL, show me how to make this. And you're welcome. So look. Let's get all this goodness out. It's usually gonna fall apart, but look at this. So we're going to put it all together. This only happens with the first, usually, slice. and then the rest of it usually comes together. But do you see this? Look at this, y'all. Do you see this amazing filling? Let's do this. Got a nice juicy chicken. You got some carrots. You got some corn. You got some peas. You got this flaky crust. Check this out. Let's go all the way in. It gets quite messy, so let's just pull it out. That's what she said. Here you go. Good night, y'all. Tell me how you like it. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and best of all, subscribe. Become a LuxLynneATL darling. Love y'all. Have a good night. And taste your own food. It's so good.